Echo.Church. My name is Brianna. Would you guys stand as we sing a new song this morning? We worship you, Lord. Have your way here. We worship you, Lord. Let's sing. The passion of our Savior, the mercy of our God, the cross that leaves no questions of the measure of His love. Come on, let's sing our chains. Our chains are gone, our debt is paid, the cross has overthrown the grave. For Jesus' blood that sets us free means death to death and life for me. The innocent judged guilty, while the guilty one walks free. Death would be his portion, and our portion liberty. Oh, our chains are gone, our debt is paid, the cross has overthrown the grave. For Jesus' blood that sets us free means death to death and life for me. I give my whole life to offer this love. By the Lamb who was slain, I'm forgiven. The sinner Savior, crown Him forever. For the Lamb who was slain. Come on, let's sing. I give my whole life to offer this love. By the Lamb who was slain, I'm forgiven. The sinner Savior, crown Him forever. For the Lamb who was slain, He is risen. I give my whole life to honor this love. By the Lamb who was slain, I'm forgiven. The sinner Savior, crown Him forever. For the Lamb who was slain, He is risen. Our chains are gone, our debt is paid, the cross has overthrown the grave. For Jesus' blood that sets us free means death to death and life for me. Means death to death and life for me. Life for me, hero. We worship you.
Come on, happy Mother's Day, everybody. Welcome to Echo. We're stoked to have you here. Come on, let's keep singing. I was buried beneath my shame. Who could carry that kind of weight? It was my turn. Come on. Till I met you. was breathing but not alive. All my failures I tried to hide. Oh, it was my turn till I met you. Come on, we'll call his name this morning. You call my name, you direct I crave out of the darkness into your glorious day. Come on. You call my name, you direct I crave out of the darkness into your glorious day. Sing your mercy, now your mercy I saved my soul. We're grateful for that this morning. Now your freedom is all that I know. Come on, they all may know Jesus when I met you. Yes, you call my name, you died and I crave out of the darkness into your glorious day. You call my name, and down and out I crave. So we run out of the darkness into your glorious day. Come on. Come on, we're running this morning. Jesus, our rescuer, sing this with me. I need it. I needed rescue. My sin was heavy, but chains break at the weight of your glory. I needed shelter. I was an orphan. Now you call me a citizen. Come on, we'll sing it. When I was broken, you were my healing. Now your love is the air that I'm breathing. I have a future. My eyes are open. It's when you call my name. Come on. I ran out of the grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. You call my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. Whoa. So we run to you, Jesus. We run to your arms. Thank you, Lord. Come on, let's lift it up all in this place this morning. Let's go.
What's up, Echo.Church? Man, good morning. Happy Mother's Day. Great to see all of you. Go ahead and grab a seat. Man, it is good to see you today here. My name is David, and I'm the campus pastor here at our North San Jose campus. This is my beautiful and awesome wife, Kendall. She is my better half, and she's the mama of my kids. Yeah, she's
I wore my Jessica Simpson heels because it's Mother's Day and I wanted to.
Oh, there you go. There's that too. So, hey, can we celebrate all the moms who are here today? You know, we want to say thank you to you. If you are a mom, you put up with, clean up, and you wipe a whole lot of stuff. And that happens a lot as a mom, so thank you to you. We're glad you're here with us today.
We sure are glad that you're here. Thank you for spending Mother's Day with us. And we want you guys to know, too, we're celebrating moms. There's a lot of meaning behind that. We don't want to lose it. But we're celebrating all women here. And so we understand that there's a lot that goes into Mother's Day for all of us. And our heart is with your heart wherever you are today. And we want you to feel special and all women to feel celebrated today. We have donuts out in the lobby, and we are celebrating with that. Do you guys like donuts? You guys are really quiet. Do you like donuts? We also have a little special gift that all the women got when they came in. If you didn't grab one, you can go grab one now from one of our greeters. You might need that in a few minutes. And we just want to say thank you so much for being here. It's Mother's Day. We're celebrating.
Yeah, so if you've got your mom here with you and you forgot to make breakfast plans, we made them for you, so just swing by afterwards. But Mom, we got donuts for you. Isn't this awesome? You can just do that right on your way out today. Now, hey, if you're here for the very first time and you're our guest with us, we want to say a special welcome to you. And this is a great day to be here. And even today, we want you to feel totally welcome to participate in the festivities, the fun that's happening today. And if it's your first time here, to make sure you swing by what we call the hub right out in the lobby on your way out, because we've got a free gift to give you, custom coffee mugs, our gift to you to say thanks for coming. And for this gift, you don't have to be a mom and you don't have to be a lady, so if you're a first-time dude here today, you qualify for that. And then also, I forgot, this is my part.
Yeah, I'm waiting for you to finish your part.
When you came in today, if you grabbed a program, go ahead and take a look inside there. There's a connection card there. There's an offering envelope that'll help you in the service today. At the end of our service, we're going to have an opportunity when our ushers pass by some black buckets to drop in that connection card, that offering envelope, if you're participating in the offering today. With the connection card, even if you're a guest, we invite you to fill out as much information as you feel comfortable. So if it is your first or second time here, there's actually a box on the top that you can check there so that we can best help you get connected and learn more about Echo.
Okay, so we have something fun we'd like to do today. Today's a special day, and we don't normally do this, but we're going to do a giveaway right here in the service.
Yeah.
So let me tell you about it. So one of the things that's really important to us, that's a value to us here at Echo.Church, is that all of our people, and today especially women, would be connected into life-giving community through one of our Echo groups. And so in light of that hope, this summer we're going to be launching 12 women's groups that to get together, we'll be tracking through a She Reads Truth Bible study on 1st and 2nd Corinthians. We're super excited about that. So inside of this tote bag is some items that's going to help somebody in this room have a great experience this summer. So this is a beautiful tote bag here.
Adorable.
Yeah. So inside the bag, we have a few items I want to highlight for you. This is my beautiful assistant. He's embellishing this moment a little bit too much, isn't he? But this book here, 1st and 2nd Corinthians, this is the study book for this summer. We also have a She Reads Truth study Bible inside. Look at this beautiful Bible. He's having trouble here juggling this. We have highlighters. Does anyone like highlighters?
Oh, the pressure, I can't take it.
For their Bible time, Bible. Can't have a Bible study without highlighters,
That's right.
At least if you're this guy. He has a little cute pouch with a bunch of different colors of highlighters that he uses when he studies his Bible.
Real men highlight.
It's very cute. We also have a $50 Spa Finder gift card in this bag. Okay, so you might be wondering, well, who's going to get it? Am I the one? Well, look inside your little bag that you got when you came in the door. Are they green? Inside that bag, you might have a card that says you're the one. And if you have this card, you're the one. And we want to know where you are so you can get this special
So where are you? So if
today.
you're in the family viewing room right now, just start running and screaming. We will hear you and come to you. So where's the one? I know you're there somewhere.
If you're in the lobby,
in the mezz, the lobby. Is it? Hey, husbands, if your wife's bag is sitting there on the chair and she went to the bathroom,
get her bag and look
start
through it.
looking. You won't get in trouble.
Who's got
okay?
it?
Anybody got it? Come on now.
I'm gonna get this bag myself if nobody wants it.
Introverts, you got to still raise your hand. Where? Where? Here we go. We're coming.
Oh, we found one. Woo-hoo!
Where are we going? Up top?
Look at that. Some of y'all didn't even know we had seating up there. Turn around.
We have seating in the mezz. Here we go. We're going all the way. Oh, gosh. I got to start working out. Woo, where?
All right, guys.
Down here.
Let's
all right, all the way to the top.
Where's she at?
Wait. Sorry, I passed it. I got excited. Here we go. There you go. No, you keep that card because you're the one. Happy Mother's Day.
All right. Well, that was exciting. So now, as we continue in our service, before we jump into our message today from our very own Stacy Wood, Pastor Andy is going to join us here by video, and he's got a special message to share with us before she begins. So let's watch that together.
Happy Mother's Day, everybody. We are so glad that you are here today for this celebration. I had the privilege this week of going to the UK. I actually got invited to the royal wedding with Stacy, and we decided not to go so we could be back for this amazing day. And as we jump into the message in just a moment, I want to make sure you know about something coming up. Next Saturday, May 19th, we have the Echo Entrepreneurs Conference. It's going to be unbelievable. We have an incredible lineup of speakers, and this event is designed as something that you can bring your friends who are interested in business leadership and entrepreneurship. So make sure to sign up and be there next weekend. Now today, Stacy has an amazing message for you. As you know, I am so grateful that she is my wife. She's gonna deliver an amazing message. I get to see her integrity, her faithfulness, her hard work, and her live out the message that she's gonna bring today. So I wanna encourage you, put your hands together, give a warm echo welcome to Stacy as she comes to the stage.
Hey, hey, welcome. It's so great to be here with you on Mother's Day. And I just want to welcome all of you joining us from Sunnyvale, from South San Jose. If you're watching online, we are glad that you're there. Thanks for being here to celebrate part of your Mother's Day with us. Today's a really special Mother's Day for Andy and I because we have the honor of having his mom, Marcy, in town with us. Can you guys welcome my mother-in-law, Marcy? She's amazing. She spent this whole past week taking care of our 3 children, which is no small feat, and she is a woman worthy of honor today. So we're thankful for her. Now, as every good Mother's Day talk does, you have to begin with a story about your kids, and so this Mother's Day talk will be no different. However, the child will remain nameless in this story. I was talking to one of my children, one of my sons, actually, so that narrows it down, a couple months ago, and he's saying to me, Mom, if I don't make it in the NFL and the NBA does not work out for me, then I think I will become a garbage man. And I thought, okay, well, thanks for just, really going for it, son, all that ambition paying off. That's awesome. And he says, what? I mean, even a garbage man would be better than a stay-at-home mom. And then he quickly follows that up with, no offense, though. I'm like, oh, yeah, none taken. So I'm like, that is really rude. And he goes, well, think about it. I mean, at least the garbage man gets paid for what he does. You don't even make any money. I'm like, oh, okay, I see how it is. So for all of you moms out there who really feel like even though your child may not say it often, they do deeply respect and appreciate the role that you play in their life, I'm here today to burst your bubble. They don't. You are lower than a garbage man to them. Now, hopefully your kids respect you a little more than mine do me. But before I jump into my message, I just want to pause and acknowledge that today is a really painful day for some people. Mother's Day brings up a lot of emotion. Maybe you're not a mom and you really wish that you were a mom, and there's pain in that. Or maybe you don't have a good relationship with your mom or with your kids. And so that just brings up a lot of pain as well. I know several of you who have lost your mom recently. And I just want you to know 2 things today. If you find yourself in that category of people that Mother's Day is hard, I want to tell you, first of all, I'm proud of you for making it to church today. Because today would have been a lot easier to hibernate and just wait for the day to be over. But you made it. You made a courageous choice to get here, and I believe God has a special word for you. And secondly, I want to say that it's okay to not be okay. Now, I know that when someone asks you how you're doing, the proper response is, I'm doing great. How are you? But it's okay to come to this place and not have to pretend like everything in your life is going great when you're really dying on the inside. The best thing we can do is to bring our authentic self to Jesus. And so I'm thankful that you're here, and I hope that today's message really ministers to your heart. So today we are going to be thinking about the different seasons of life and of motherhood, but of all of life in general. Some of you are in the season of being a student or a young professional. Some of you are just entering parenthood, and you're like that first year, and you're totally sleep deprived, but you are completely enthralled with that little sweet baby. And some of you are more in like the middle years. This is kind of where Andy and I find ourselves, and we are just like powering through. You're dropping your kids off at like 14 different practices a week, and then you're fighting through homework every night, and you just power through those middle years. There's another season that some of you guys are in, which would be that empty nester season. And maybe your kids are gone for the first time in a long time, and you're finding that you're missing them and that you're trying to find your new rhythms. Every season of life has good things about it. It has difficult things about it. There are trials in every season. There's lessons to be learned. And what I want to talk about today is that there is a certain strength in every season that God wants to build into our lives. But the way that we respond, the way that we react to that season is going to determine whether we develop the strength that God has for us or we diminish it. You can either develop your strength or you can diminish it by the way that you react and you respond. And there are a couple different ways that you can react to each different trial that you walk through. And one response is going to draw you closer to God, and another response is going to push you further away. And so today we're going to look at this character in the Bible. And I love this girl. Her name is Mary of Bethany. And we get to see her 3 different snapshots of her life. I'm calling it Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3 of her life. And in every act, she is in a very different season. And we get to see her response. And what we learn from Mary of Bethany is that every season requires a different response. And so I am so excited to share her with you today. But before we go any further, I want to just give you a heads up that today's experience is going to feel a little different. Because one of the things that God has used in my life as I've navigated different seasons is worship music. And it just kind of has helped me at different phases to draw near to God. And so I thought it would be cool if during my message, at different points, we would have the musicians come out and sing a song for us. And so I considered doing the whole thing myself. Like, I could both teach and sing, but I figured you guys would appreciate the experience a lot more if we all just stayed in our lane today. So I am going to teach. I'm going to stick to that. They're going to stick to singing, and hopefully it'll be a great blessing to you guys. Okay, so we're going to kick it off. Act 1 of Mary of Bethany's life is going to be found in Luke chapter 10. And we are going to find Mary sitting at the feet of Jesus. And so we'll pick it up in verse 38 where it says, as Jesus and the disciples continued on their way to Jerusalem, they came to a certain village where a woman named Martha welcomed him into her home. Her sister Mary sat at the Lord's feet. So that's really significant. I want all 3 of our campuses together to say that last phrase with me. What did Mary do? She sat at the Lord's feet, listening to what he taught. But Martha was distracted by the big dinner she was preparing. She came to Jesus and said, Lord, doesn't it seem unfair to you that my sister just sits here while I do all the work? Tell her to come and help me. But the Lord said to her, my dear Martha, you are worried and upset over all these details. There's only one thing worth being concerned about. Mary has discovered it. Another translation says Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her. Now, that phrase, sat at the Lord's feet, it's an important phrase, and it doesn't just identify the location in the room where Mary found herself. It actually is indicating that there's an intentional discipleship relationship going on there. Another part of the Bible refers to how the Apostle Paul had sat at the feet of Gamaliel because he was being trained under him. And so this is a really significant point because in those days, this just would not have happened culturally. Women were not invited into those kinds of spaces. But I love how Mary intentionally sat there, and Jesus not only allowed her to be in his presence, but he affirmed it, he applauded it, and it was her choice to learn from him. Now, this choice was a courageous choice. It was a going against the flow kind of choice. It was like a Rosa Parks kind of choice. Like, I know I'm not supposed to be here, but it's the right place to be, and I'm going to stay right here. And what I love is that Mary recognized that there was nothing more important or significant that she could be doing with her time in that moment than sitting at the feet of Jesus. What I love about Mary is that she is like so hungry to learn. She is what we call here at Echo.Church tenaciously teachable. That she is going to press in beyond whatever barrier stands in her way to get to the feet of Jesus. She's going to sit right there and learn from this man. And have you guys ever noticed, like I have, that we all tend to get real teachable when we get in situations that we're in over our head? Like, we all are looking for some advice. We're all reading books and we're searching on Google. When we have a decision to make, when we're at a critical juncture in our life, we're talking to mentors. We're asking for advice. There are a lot of different sources that we could sit at their feet. But Mary chose to sit at the feet of Jesus. And I want to share with you guys a really personal story from my own life of a time that I felt way over my head and very much in need of learning from Jesus. This first act in Mary's life is what I'm calling an act of desperation, because she was desperately in need of hearing from Jesus. So about 8 years ago, we adopted our son Sammy and brought him home from Ethiopia. And during that time, it was a very difficult transitional season for our family. When we were in Ethiopia, Sammy was very happy, joyful, playful. He ate great. He slept great. It was amazing. But when we got on that plane ride home, there was just a switch that flipped in him. And he started to go through this really difficult grieving process and this attachment process that was very painful. And so all day long, every day, he needed to be in my arms. And he always had to be with me. And if he wasn't in my arms, he was at my feet with his arms up. And so everywhere I went, he followed me around. And it was like he always wanted to be held, but at the same time, he didn't want to be touched because there was this weird attachment thing going on. But nighttime was the worst. Sammy was very scared, I think, of abandonment, that we wouldn't be there. And so every night it would take him well over an hour to fall asleep, which would require either Andy or I to be right there in the room with him. And then he would wake up 3, 4, 5 times every single night to check and make sure we were still there. And this went on for 18 very long months. Andy and I were completely exhausted and just at our wits' end, not knowing what to do for this child. And he would have these night terrors. And it was so different than any other child I've interacted with that's like screamed themselves to sleep at night. That's very normal. My other 2 children went through that. But with Sammy, it was so different. He would shove his face down into his little mattress and push his body to the furthest corner away from me. And then I would reach out to rub his back to try to soothe him. And it was like it was so uncomfortable. He could not handle human touch, that he wanted to like crawl out of his own skin. It was just a horrible thing to watch. Every adoptive parent knows that adoption is a beautiful, redemptive thing, but it's also brutal. And no child should be forced to have to lose their parents. And no child should have to go through that difficult process of learning to trust and love and reattach to a family that looks different and sounds different and smells different. And I knew Sammy was going to struggle during this transition home. But what I didn't count on was how much I would struggle. That this took such a deep toll on me. And I would find myself every morning with my Bible open and my journal open and just filling up my journal with prayers like, Jesus, I need you to speak to me. I don't know what to do here. I need you to teach me to see like you see. I need you to help me love him. I was so desperate and so needy for God. And you know what? In those quiet moments when I would sit there in the morning, Jesus would meet me there. And he would show me how to live. He would teach me how to love on days that love was really hard to come by. I needed him so desperately in that moment. And I know that some of you are right there today, that you are in a situation where you are in way over your head. You've got a decision to make. You're at a crossroads in your life, and you are desperately in need of some guidance. And so my question for you today is, at whose feet are you going to sit? Are you going to sit at the feet of Google or Wikipedia? Are you going to seek out advice from all your mentors and poll your friends and read all these books? And none of that is a bad thing. Or will you, like Mary, realize that there is nothing more valuable that you could do with your time than to sit at the feet of Jesus. So as these musicians play this song over us today, I want you to listen to the words, and I want you to make it your prayer to say, God, I am looking to you. You're where my help comes from. I need your vision. I need your sustenance. I'm not going to be overwhelmed by the situation that I'm in because I am looking to you.
God, I look to you. I won't be overwhelmed. Give me vision to see things like you do. God, I look to you. You're where my help comes from. Give me wisdom. You know just what to do, yeah. God, I look to you. I won't be overwhelmed. Give me vision to see things like you do. God, I look to you. You're where my help comes from. Give me wisdom, 'cause you know just what to do. And I will love you, Lord, my strength. And I will love you, Lord, my shield. And I will love you, Lord, my rock. Forever all my days I will love you, God. All my days I will love you, God.
Act 2. Act 2 of Mary of Bethany's life. I'm going to call this act the act of grief. And the second time we get to see Mary, it is right after her brother Lazarus has died. And she and her sister Martha had called to Jesus and said, Jesus, Lazarus is sick. Lazarus was one of Jesus' friends. And so they were hoping that Jesus would come and to heal him, like he had healed so many people in the past. But Jesus didn't come, and Lazarus died. And so it left the sisters not only in grief, but deeply confused, because Jesus had actually been close enough in proximity that he could have gotten there, but he chose not to come. And that is a dark, soul-searching place to be, to feel like you have a critical need and that you've asked God to meet it, to know that he could, and yet for some reason he doesn't. Have you guys ever been there before? I have been there, and it is a dark place to be. So that is the devastation that we find ourselves in when we open up this passage of the Bible, when Jesus shows up 4 days after Lazarus has already been put into the grave. And so this time, Mary will not be sitting at the feet of Jesus to learn from him. We're going to find her falling at his feet in grief. This is John chapter 11, verse 28. It says, Then Martha returned to Mary. She called Mary aside from the mourners and told her, The teacher is here and wants to see you. So Mary immediately went to him. When Mary arrived and saw Jesus, she fell at his feet and said, Lord, if only you had been here, my brother would not have died. I love how Mary is just so stating the obvious here. Like, you could have done something about this. See, Jesus was Mary's friend. And so He could have spared his friend from all this grief, and he knew it, and she knew it. And yet there they were right in the middle of it. And she's just crumpled at his feet, weeping on the side of a dusty road in Bethany. It's such a tender scene. And I want you to note how Jesus responds to Mary. It says, when Jesus saw her weeping and saw the other people wailing with her, a deep anger welled up within him, and he was deeply troubled. Where have you put him? He asked them. And they told him, Lord, come and see. Then Jesus wept. The people who were standing nearby said, see how much he loved him. I love that Jesus wept with her, that he saw her in her pain, and it moved him to tears. Even though he knew that he was about to reverse the whole situation, he knew that he was about to perform the greatest miracle that they had ever seen. He was about to raise their brother up from the dead. But you see, they didn't know that yet. And so he took that moment to linger with them in their grief. He allowed their heart, their emotions, their pain to stir something deep inside of him as well. He wept with them, and I love that. I think it's so tender. Many of you know that Andy and I struggled with infertility for about 6 years, and that was a very difficult season for both of us, especially for me. And we both prayed many, many prayers, and I cried myself to sleep many, many nights. And then one day in October of 2012, it was perhaps one of the very happiest days of my life because I found out I was pregnant. And I cannot even describe the joy that I experienced. It was like the sun was shining and birds were singing. And I was fully confident that at any moment, people in color-coordinated clothing were just going to pop out of bushes and start dancing in the street like La La Land. I mean, it was that kind of joy. And I imagined God up in heaven. And he knew this day was coming. And like a parent anticipating Christmas with their little kids, like he was just so excited to watch me unwrap this gift. And he sat up in heaven and clapped his hands and laughed with joy as he watched me experience this gift of gratitude. Well, then a few weeks later, I started to experience some pain, and I started to spot a little bit. And I went to Andy and I said, I think something might be wrong. And I cried myself to sleep that night. Next morning, got up, went to my midwife. And thankfully, there on the monitor, there was that little heartbeat. And I was so relieved to see that sweet little heartbeat. And she said, sometimes this happens. It just is, it happens. Sometimes you're probably fine. Come back in a couple days and we'll look again. So I went back a couple of days later, another ultrasound. This was on a Friday. And there was that little heartbeat. And I was trying to come to peace in my heart, okay, sometimes this just happens. And so that whole weekend, we went through our weekend just with a lot of prayer, a lot of fear and anxiety, but just trying to believe that we're okay, that God's got this. And that next week, we were supposed to go to San Diego. We had been planning this big vacation for months. And so we weren't exactly sure what to do because we felt like we were a little bit in limbo. But our little boys were very small. They didn't know anything. They didn't even know I was pregnant. They didn't know anything was going on. And you can't disappoint your little boys when they're expecting to go to San Diego. So we went ahead and packed up the van and everything. But then on Sunday night, I started to have cramping. The spotting picked up. I knew what was happening. And so the next morning, Monday morning, we went back to the midwife with the van fully packed to go to San Diego. And there was no heartbeat. And I know many women in this room understand that kind of pain. I'm sorry, this is the first time I've publicly shared this. But it is a devastating moment. And so we leave and we get in the car and we decide we're still going to go. Maybe we needed this time away after all. And the whole way to San Diego, I'm in so much pain physically, and my heart is just wrecked. And the thing that I keep thinking, the question that keeps running through my mind is, how is this kind? How is this loving? God, you say that you're kind and you say that you're loving, but this feels cruel and this feels mean-spirited. Like, why didn't you just not let me get pregnant? I was used to that kind of pain. But to give me this gift and then to snatch it right back, God, you could have done something about this. I had no trouble believing that God was fully able to have acted on our behalf, and I was just so confused that he didn't. Have you ever found yourself just beating on the chest of God and saying, God, you could have healed the cancer. God, you could have saved my marriage. God, you could have protected my child. Lord, if you had been there, my brother would not have died. You know, grief is some deep waters. And I really wish that I had more time to unpack it and to tell you the story of how God redeemed our situation and was there in the midst of all of it. But the image that I just want to leave seared in your mind this morning is the image of Mary of Bethany, a well-respected woman in her community. And she was crumpled at the feet of Jesus, just pouring out her grief before him. That is where she took her grief. There's a response for every season in our life. And one response would be to allow that grief to turn into bitterness and anger towards God. Another response would be to isolate ourselves and to die on the inside. Or we could choose to respond in a way that would actually draw us nearer to God, like Mary of Bethany did. And along with that picture of Mary crumpled at the feet of Jesus, I want you to see in that same story how Jesus responded to her. That he got right there in the middle of her pain. That he walked out into her suffering and he sat there with her and he wept with her. He did not ignore her pain. He was not a distant and cold-hearted God. He cried too. Some of you guys are right there in the midst of some horrible grief. Your heart is so heavy that you don't even know what to do with it. You don't know how much longer you can bear it. And so the question I have for you today is, where will you take your grief? Are you going to bottle it up on the inside and isolate yourself until it almost kills you? Or will you pour it out at the feet of Jesus because he wants to show you comfort? Mary was not alone in her suffering. He was right there with her, and he's right there with you too.
When I walk through deep waters, I know that you will be with me. And when I'm standing in the fire, I will not be overcome. Through the valley of the shadow, I will not fear. I am not alone. I am not alone. You will go before me, and you will never leave me. I am not alone. I am not alone. You will go before me, and you will never leave me. In the midst of deep sorrow, I see your light is breaking through. The dark of night will not overtake take me. I am pressing into you. Lord, you fight my every battle, and I will not fear. I am not alone. I am not alone. You will go before me. You will never leave me. I am not alone. No, I am not alone. You will go before me. You will never leave me. You will never leave me.
Act 3. The third and final glimpse into Mary of Bethany's life is what I'm calling the act of surrender. And this time we're not going to find Mary sitting at his feet. We're not even going to find her falling at his feet. This time we're going to see Mary worshiping at his feet, kneeling down and anointing his feet. This scene takes place about a week before Jesus is going to die, to go to the cross. And of course, no one fully understood that. But somehow it seems like Mary in this moment got it, that she realized this was a moment that she would never get back, that it was a very significant moment. And so that's the setting for the scene that we're going to read right now. John chapter 12, starting at verse 1. 6 days before the Passover celebration began, Jesus arrived in Bethany, the home of Lazarus, the man he had raised from the dead. And I think we should just all pause and acknowledge that that is the coolest tagline that any human being could ever have. The man Jesus raised from the dead. That would be a great one-liner to put on your Instagram handle. So a dinner was prepared in Jesus' honor. Martha served, and Lazarus was among those who ate with him. Then Mary took a 12-ounce jar of expensive perfume made of essence of nard. She anointed Jesus' feet with it, wiping his feet with her hair. And the house was filled with the fragrance. Now, this jar of perfume was a year's wages worth of money. We're talking tens of thousands of dollars. This was an extravagant, crazy gift that she was pouring out at his feet. It was a gift of gratitude. And it's interesting, Mary doesn't say a word in this passage. But as I imagine the script running through her head, I'm thinking she's saying something like, I owe everything to you. You gave me back my brother from the dead. You totally transformed my meaning for life. You gave me connection with God that I never knew was possible. You are just so good. And I want to do anything I can to express how thankful I am. But not everyone received it that way. In verse 4, it says, Judas Iscariot, the disciple who would soon betray him, said, that perfume was worth a year's wages. It should have been sold and the money given to the poor. Not that he cared for the poor. He was a thief. And since he was in charge of the disciples' money, he often stole some for himself. But Jesus replied, catch how he responds. Leave her alone. She did this in preparation for my burial. You'll always have the poor among you, but you will not always have me. You see, Jesus defended her devotion. It seemed like craziness to them, but he received this extravagant gift of gratitude. And I just love Mary in this scene because she's so gutsy and bold. She has reached that point in her life where she's like, I don't care what you think about me, because she was there to please one person. And she wasn't even 100% sure how he was going to respond, because there was no precedent for this. Like, no one else had done this before. And so she wasn't sure even how he would respond, but he received it and he affirmed it as worthy. She gave him the most costly sacrifice that she could give. It was her most expensive possession, her very best. And I think that this story is just saying to us that he is worthy He is worthy of whatever we can surrender or sacrifice to him. And as I was thinking about the concept of surrender and sacrifice, there were so many stories that were flooding my mind, stories of people from within our church. I'm thinking of one particular couple, and I can't even tell you their names because of security reasons. But they felt led by God to sell everything that they owned and to move to a country that was neither safe nor comfortable in order to share the love of God and the good news of Jesus with people that didn't know it. I'm thinking about another couple in our church, and I won't tell you their names either just because it would embarrass them. But they felt like God put it on their heart to single-handedly fund the playground at the Sunnyvale campus. They saw a need. They knew it was something that Echo.Church wanted to do, but that we did not have the resources to do. And they felt like, you know what, there are so many young families here in the Sunnyvale area, and we want to be a part of that. So they made a very costly, sacrificial gift and funded that playground. I'm thinking of a bunch of families in our church. I'm thinking of the Sablons and the Pattisons and the Yangs and the Santos, and I could go on and on. People that decided they would disrupt the rhythm of their family in order to bring in a foster child or adopt an orphan. And to say, you know what, it may not always be comfortable or fun or easy, but those children are made in the image of God, and they deserve a home that is loving and stable, and they are worth it because the King is worth it. I'm thinking about this precious girl that Andy had a conversation with a few weeks ago. And she was explaining to Andy about this relationship that she was in that she knew wasn't God's best for her life, but she loved this person. And as she, through tears, explained to Andy her decision to walk away from this relationship, the thing she said was, Jesus, I want you more. These sacrifices cost them something. There is pain in a sacrifice like that. But the thing about surrender is, surrender requires a wider perspective. You can't just think about this day. You have to think about that day. That we may have 85, 90 years of life on this earth, and there are going to be some painful choices that come when it comes to surrendering to God, to sacrificing for God. But then we're going to wake up into the rest of eternity. And if you are a follower of Christ, I guarantee you that every sacrifice you have made for the King and his kingdom will be worth it on that day. And that you will wish that you had offered more. You will wish that you had more to give. And I feel like Mary got it. That she realized that he was worth it. And she gave him her all. It didn't make sense to them, but it didn't need to make sense to them. It wasn't for them, it was for him. You know, in Act 1 and Act 2 of Mary's life, she came to Jesus because she needed something from him. So she sat at his feet and she received wisdom. And then she fell at his feet and she received comfort. But in Act 3, she wanted to bring something to him. She wanted to give him her very best. And so as the musicians are going to sing this final song over us today, I want you to recreate the scene in your mind, to close your eyes and imagine it unfolding. That here comes Mary into a room full of men, and everyone's kind of looking around, judgmental. What in the world is going on here? And Mary is nervous. Her hands are trembling as she holds this jar. But she is steadfast and she is single-minded and her eyes are locked on his. And she kneels down and she worships him. And in that holy moment, she is saying to him by her actions, you are worthy. You are worth everything I have to offer you. I owe you my life. My life is yours. My money is yours. My praise is yours. You are worthy. Play that scene in your mind as the musicians sing.
can know your glory. So high above, yet slain for us, you alone are worthy. And the praise is yours, and the praise is yours. You're the one we bow before, reigning over us as we lift you up. You will reign forevermore. The one who was and is to come, God of every moment, forever crowned, exalted now. You alone are holy, and the praise is yours, and the praise is yours. You're the one we bow before, reigning over us as we lift you up. You will reign forevermore, and the praise is yours, and the praise is yours. You're the one we bow before, reigning over us as we lift you up. You will reign forevermore.
You know, I think it's really important when we worship that we worship with our minds engaged, that we're not just singing thoughtless words. The Bible says that when we worship God, that we are to love him with all of our heart, our soul, and our mind. And so I really want to encourage you to think when you are worshiping. And when I am worshiping, a lot of times what I'm doing is I am envisioning myself standing before Jesus and looking at his face. And I'm seeing him not as he was that day on the cross when he was beaten and bruised and crucified, dying for our sins. But now I'm seeing him as he is today, that he is lifted high, that he is seated on a throne above all. And I imagine his face full of glory and his eyes like fire with a crown on his head and light and beauty just coming out of his body, and that he reigns over all. And I think about how the God that holds the universe together, he knows my name, and he loves me intimately, and he is worthy of every offering that I can pour out at his feet. So today, I want to invite all of you at all three of our campuses to stand with me. And for the next few minutes, we are going to pour out our praise at the feet of Jesus, because he is worthy today. And it doesn't matter if you've had a bad day. It doesn't matter if you've had a bad week or a bad year, because he reigns over all of it. And his name is worthy today. And so we are going to give him everything we've got. And just like Mary of Bethany, I want to encourage you to pour out your praise, to hold nothing back, to bring him your very best, because he is worthy.
Glory and praise, power and strength, worthy is the Lamb of God. Hallelujah. Glory and praise, power and strength,
God, as we think about this message and this truth, even as we just sang, the praise is yours. Whether we are going through something easy or good, or whether we're going through the hard, that we can know that you are there, that you are a place that we can come with our hurts, our brokenness, our joys, our celebrations. So today, even as we unpack this day and this truth and this message as we sing it, I pray that we go out this week and we process, we look, we think, we pray differently about what's happening around us as a result of this. The praise is yours, Jesus, and we thank you for all that you've done, your sacrifice for us. And we pray this in your name. Amen. We all go ahead and grab a seat. What a great message for us today from Stacy. Stacy, thank you so much for that word today for us and for all of our church and campuses as well. Hey, you know, with every message and every single week, we want to make sure that you know that right after the service at the Hub, we have a prayer team who is there every single week that will be willing and ready to pray for you if we can do that, or answer any questions that maybe you have today. Even if you're a first-time guest, be sure to swing by. As we mentioned earlier in the service, we've got that free gift for you as a way to say thank you for being our guest. Now, earlier in the service, we mentioned the connection card, and I want to invite you to go ahead and pull that card back out. And if you look on the back of that connection card, you can even see what it looks like here on the screens. On the back of it, there's a couple of different boxes that may apply to you today. One of those is become a follower of Jesus. So maybe you today or recently have made a decision to say yes to Jesus, putting your faith in him, and you're beginning to follow him now. And if you haven't let us know that yet, we would love to know by having you check that box so that we can send you some info that'll help you know now what. Now, one of the first steps that we take when we see in Scripture after becoming a follower of Jesus is a step to be baptized. And you'll see a box in the back of the connection card for baptism. And we would love to send you some information or answer questions around that as well. And next Sunday, we're having baptisms at our campuses. So if we can help you take that step, then just check the box in the back of the connection card. Now, the last box I want to point out in the back of the connection card is called Grow Track. And Grow Track is a collection of 4 sessions that we have at all of our campuses that's designed around helping answer questions that we get asked all the time. In fact, some of the questions that we get asked a lot is, how do I connect here? How can I meet people? I mean, is this a place that I can belong and meet people? And even today, that's what we've been talking about in Grow Track, and it's designed to help answer those questions. And at our North Campus, Grow Track happens during this service right now at 10 a.m. and during our 5:30 service. So we try to make it easy so you can attend like the 8:30 and then go to Grow Track at the 10, or attend the 4 and go to Grow Track at 5:30. So we want to help you take steps to get connected. So check out Grow Track. Now, as you're finishing up your connection card, one of the other things we mentioned earlier in the service was that at the end, we'll also have the opportunity to receive an offering. So if you are using the offering envelope that's in the program, you can finish that up as well with your connection card. And then on the screens, you'll see there are other ways to give. In fact, a lot of people here at Echo give in many different ways, whether it's texting or online. And I think the important thing for us to recognize when we come down to giving is sometimes it's the hard part around our lives, but generosity really is a key part of our faith. And even as we heard Stacy mention this message around this idea of surrender, that surrender, sacrifice is really holding with open hands what God's put there. And this can be one of those tough areas, but when we are willing to hold it open to God, God does something different in us. And then collectively, we as a church get to come together and be part of investing in ministries and life change that happens. Even this Saturday, we're having an event that's our Echo conference where we can help invest in business leaders and begin to bridge that area of our community, because we want to ask the question, how can we as a church continually lead people to say yes to Jesus and passionately follow him and leverage everything he's put into our hands? And that's the step that we do even when we give, when we serve, when we come together. So thank you for those of you who trust God. You're giving, you're serving, you're part of that. We love seeing what God's doing here on our campus. Now, as our ushers come forward, they're going to pass by the black buckets, drop your offering envelope, connection card in, and let's watch this short video highlighting our upcoming teaching series starting next Sunday, May 20th, called Leadership Code.
We are building a culture of leaders, not just people who call themselves Christians, but men and women who will rise up to be the change agents in our society. People who believe that there is way too much at stake just to passively let life go by. Our leadership will be defined by these 4 guiding principles. We will be leaders who are tenaciously teachable. We are serious about getting better. We ask questions, seek mentors, read books, and we are constantly pursuing growth. We realize that there is nobody around here who's arrived, so we strive to cooperate with the Holy Spirit to continue to grow in our capacity, our effectiveness, and become all that Jesus created us to become. We will be the kind of leaders who are marked with contagious joy. That means that we consider it a privilege to work for Jesus. We make everything around us better. Because of this, we bring joy to our work and to the lives of other people. We will be defined as servant leaders. That means that we follow the example of Jesus, who picked up the white towel and washed the disciples' feet, who went to a cross for the sins of the world. Our leaders are the kind of people that are willing to do any task for the sake of the mission. We're not concerned about our comfort or our ease of life. We lead from a place of character where we are constantly putting the mission above our own. And deep inside of every one of us, you will find a warrior spirit. If you cut us, we bleed passion. We have a spirit that says this is not a job, this is a calling. We take hits and we keep on going. We will not give up. We understand that we are in a spiritual war and that we must fight as if life itself is hanging in the balance. We believe everything rises and falls on leadership. Leaders shape environments instead of being shaped by them. We're the kind of people who set the pace. We blaze the trail. And as a church, we are committed to raising up men and women who will lead and love just like Jesus.
Well, we hope that you'll be back next Sunday as we start Leadership Code. And there's some invite cards out at the hub if we can help you with those so you can invite somebody to come out and be here with you. Now, on your way out today, be sure to grab that picture with Mom and make sure you smile with her, all right? If you're here, and then grab that donut, hang out with us. But y'all have a great rest of your Mother's Day. We'll see you back next Sunday. Take care.